Welcome to Lesson 1 of Unit 12, Tools of the Trade. In this lesson, students work to answer the question, what is this from? To answer this question, they examine objects, observe the properties of those objects, and make inferences about the object's origin and function. They also use rulers and hand lenses to examine and measure objects and learn how to make a scientific drawing. They figure out that scientists ask questions to find out more information about the natural and designed world. Begin by framing the unit for students using this photo of Missouri's state dinosaur, the hadrosaur, and engaging them in discussions about how people learned about this dinosaur. Show students this video of people excavating a hadrosaur and explain that this unit is all about how scientists learn about the world, including plants and animals that lived long ago, like dinosaurs. Continue by explaining the unit design challenge to students and recording any questions they have on chart paper for later reference. In the Engage, use these question prompts and this poster to get students thinking about the practices scientists use to learn new things and share their findings. In the Explore, students will work in small groups to observe and explore an object. They will need the following supplies from the MySci kit: 1 feather, 1 propeller, 1 button, 1 rubber wheel, 1 bone, 1 shoelace, 1 twig, 15 hand lenses, and 15 6-inch rulers. Put students into 6 groups, giving each group one of the 7 observation items, and encourage them to use their senses of sight, touch, hearing, and smell to investigate their item. Then introduce the tools, the hand lens and ruler, as ones that scientists use to help them make observations. Students can draw their object and record their observations on Student Journal page 3, Questions and Observations, and then discuss what they observe about their object with other groups. Printable rulers in centimeters only are also available on Teacher page 2. In the Explain, students will use the object they have to make observations about its properties and record what they notice on Student Journal pages 4 and 5, Properties Chart. Before students begin, review each column to be sure they know what the headings mean. If needed, use a classroom object and model how to complete the chart. Encourage students to use qualitative, comparative, or standard units for their descriptions. For now, students can focus on the first 4 columns. Give teams time to record information on their object for a few minutes, and then switch objects, repeating the process until each team has observed each object. In the Elaborate, begin a discussion with students about how properties of objects relate to their function or job. Explain the difference between an observation and an inference to be sure students know that inferences are based on evidence and reasoning. Also, make sure each group has their original object and direct them to the last column on the properties chart, where they can make an inference about what each object might be used for. Ask students to consider what their object is from or what it could be a part of. Then direct students to Student Journal page 6, Object Drawing Sheet, to draw their object in box number 1 and write about its function. Using the scientific drawing rubric on Student Journal page 7, review the criteria and give students time to revise their original drawing as needed. Discuss the difference between scientific drawings and artistic drawings so that students recognize scientific drawings can help with recording observations. Then give them time to discuss why one drawing might be more scientific than another. In the Evaluate, direct students back to Student Journal page 6 to draw and write about a different idea of what the object may be from in box number 2. Encourage them to be creative in considering an alternative function of their object. If needed, you can use this image of a rabbit trap as a visual example of what the shoelace could be used for or could be a part of. Finally, have them revisit the questions they asked about their object at the beginning of the lesson. Ask if their observations and measurements helped them answer their question, and if they have new questions based on what they observed. By the end of this lesson, students will use the science and engineering practices to make observations and ask questions about the objects they are observing. They will also predict what larger items the objects could be from using evidence from observations and measurements.